Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And do you know what I love? I love having to re-record things because my audio is corrupted. It's a great feeling sitting here talking for 20 minutes and then playing it back and realizing that there's some very, very weird static and metallic sound every time I talk. So hopefully that doesn't happen. In fact, we're going to cut right now and make sure that's still not happening. Alright, cool. I think we're good. Anyways, the topic of today's video was going to be the Beatdown Battle, Tempered Edge, whatever you want to call it, but not EX5. That video went up earlier, and honestly there's only a couple teams that can do EX5, and that's generally how it goes all the time, right? It's supposed to be difficult, you're supposed to use the meta team, and if you don't, well, there's like one other team that you can use, and then otherwise you're just shit. So, but for the people that don't really care about EX4 and 5, but want to do EX3 because it's part of the bingo board missions to get Octagram emblems, this video is more geared towards you guys and just clearing EX3. Doesn't mean that you have to have every mission done, doesn't mean you have to have everyone alive, but we're going to show off two more teams that that can do it, obviously, and hopefully we can help some people get that mission done better off than, never. So the first team that I'm going to show you, and it's pre-recorded, but I'm going to pull up this team now. It's kind of weird. It's also kind of whaley, but again, like, as long as you can clear it, doesn't really matter. But we've got Cabby, the OG protector who loves greens and can buff greens all to hell. We've got Dark Valentine, and, don't really pay attention to Rimuru. Like, he's here. If you don't have Rimuru and you have Gazel, that's totally fine. Just use him. But Valentine's here for a little bit of her trait, and then the stacking ult damage. Milim is here because she can seal the enemy's crit resistance and give everyone crits. So I think they have like 50% crit resistance permanent, but you can take that away so you can at least do normal or extra damage with your crits. And then she also has an orb change to blues, which doesn't really matter. Dark Milim is here because she's an orb changer. She has the ult buff, she has her own attack buff, she's one of our DPS units. Space Milim is Space Milim, like, she doesn't need an explanation. And then Ranga is here for his orb change and type advantage and AoE. You could, if you don't have a good Ranga, you can bring Sufia. Totally fine, she'll still cover the orb changing. I don't really use his second skill at all, which is like a small chance to pierce and guard penetration. Like, it can help. I didn't actually use it though. So let's go ahead and bring up the first team now. I believe it's this one. Yes. Yeah, this one. Okay. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and boost this up a bit. Yeah, we're gonna make this go a little bit faster because it's kind of a long fight. So turn one, obviously we have Ranga here for his orb change, so we can get that full hand of greens. We're going to keep my Valentine / Rimuru in for his full trait now, and then we'll swap in Space Milim for Fire Milim, because Fire Milim doesn't really have a usage until you're ready to nuke. And this is still following the conventional format of like EX2 and EX5 even, of making sure Hakuro dies first. Dies first, because if you don't, he's going to bind you on turn 5, and if you attempt to kill someone else, and you do on turn 5, Hakuro will then give a massive 50% attack buff for the rest of the fight to everyone else who's still alive, which means that it's gonna hurt a lot, like a lot. So here we kind of get unlucky. We don't have a dedicated blue orb changer. We do have Milim though. Cabby is active, which means we're getting a lot from him. As you can see, we have 2 ults. We have 140 skill points. We have another Cabby going, so we're ready to go with these 2 ults. It's turn 3. We're going to use Cabby again, raise that cap, and then we're going to use Drago, and then get Milim out, because we're not quite ready to nuke yet, because I want Dark Milim's ult. Unfortunately, it doesn't really happen that way. So, we get 3 blues here, and we have another one coming in. So we kind of just send it. We're going to wait until dedicated turn 5, and the game is trolling me because it refuses to give me anything but blues. So, awesome, thank you very much. But here, this is actually not enough. Alright. So, what are we doing here? We're gonna send it. So we have to nuke now, and we're not quite ready either, right? We've only used 20% of Valentine's ult buff, so we're nowhere near, we're not looking good right now. So I think what I do is I just kind of leave Dark Milim in, and then bring everyone else in because I know I'm going to get... Oh, no, we ult. Okay, we're ulting now. Sorry, that was probably the next video. The next clip. Alright, so we've ult buffed. Let's see. Space Millum already has her Drago, so we don't need to worry about that, and we have enough points to use the crit and the space buff as well. So now we can try and kill Hakuro here. So the AoE 55k, and then 152k, and then the rest of the damage goes out elsewhere. So this is fine. So Hakuro is dead, the bind isn't going to happen, the permanent attack buff isn't going to happen, so now our primary focus is Gapta, who continually attacks twice, and also gives everybody 50% ult gauge. So he is the next list on the priority to kill, because as soon as you kill him, Rigard attacks once, his attack stats are pretty not great. He's a defense character, and obviously, you know, they raise their guard power, so your normal orbs aren't doing anything anyways. So it's just ult rushing and making sure to keep people alive here. So this works out. We had just enough points to use Ranga's orb change to give us a full 6-hand of greens that are all still buffed. This full 6-hand will give us a lot of points. It'll give us triple ult and 2 more cabbies, which is great. I mean, this is why Cabbie is still a really good protector, especially with a lot of metas focusing on greens. Because, yeah, it's like the new protectors, they do a lot, right? Cabbie doesn't really give you any additional damage from himself, but 150% for every green orb on all gauges is really powerful still, and you can make good things happen with it. So we have points, we're going to use Drago, we've used the ult buff, we use the space buff again, and now we're going to make sure that Gapta is dead here, and then we just have to deal with Rigard after that. So there's the AoE, 85k from Millum. We didn't have enough for the crit, which is okay, but it's whatever. So Gapta's dead, Hakuro's dead, so now we just have to deal with that one ult from Rigard, because he had it left over, and now 2 of our units are looking pretty bad, but 2 of our backline units still have a decent amount of HP. Ranga still has, okay HP, but now I just kind of want to focus on getting triple ults again, that way I can buff them, and then send them all on Rigard and have him die. Not too worried about Ranga at this point, since he's only one target. AoE is good. So here, we get a good orb change, right? So we're going to bring Dark Millum in for Valentine, I think. After we use one of her stacks. Okay, so we have enough points to use her second stack and Dark Millum's orb change. And, you know, we've only used 2 stacks of Dark Millum. Like, we've left a lot of damage on the table from the previous 10 fucking turns, right? So if things work out better in your hand and you get a whole bunch of natural greens, you can definitely use her buff earlier and get 40-60% extra ult damage. So we sent Dark Millum, or we sent, I think, Fire Millum. Didn't do a lot, but that wasn't the point. The point was getting these 2 ults and a decent amount of points. So Cabbie, again, just to make sure we've got him topped up. We have no greens here, though. We're going to wait one more turn, though, because I want to make sure we have enough points to use 2 big-time buffs to make him go away. So we brought in everyone else. We're going to send these 2 oranges. I think we actually wait another turn as well. So yeah, turn 14. So yeah, we're going to waste one more turn. This will get us another single target ult for Fire Millum, so next turn we can have all 3 Millums nuke him with at least 2 buffs. I believe it's the ult buff and the crit buff, because the space buff will only benefit one unit, and I want everyone to do as much damage as possible here. So, oh, we have an AoE, right? Okay. Right? No, we're bringing Dark Millum. Okay, that's fine. Alright, so we're going to use the crit buff, we're going to use the ult buff. Cool. And that's it. And then we should be done here. So, pop, 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 pop. And we are done. This team can do it. Like, yeah, nobody died, which is great. And also, you know, we got the mission done. We had a full hand of green. Definitely didn't get the 9 turns. We didn't get the 12 turns. But if your entire goal is to just beat EX3, this team can do it. If you get some luck, right? Because obviously a 100 everybody minus Valentine is pretty good. So maybe it takes a few tries, maybe it takes a good amount of RNG for you, but this is one team that you can use. Now, as far as the next team is concerned, I use this. So, let's see. Yeah, are you gonna show it to me? There we go. Okay. There we go. So, Dark Team. Essentially, full Dark with Sufia being our free-to-play unit. So, Sufia will give us the full hand of greens, turn 1, so that's a mission. All of these are magic characters, so that's a mission right there. And then our primary nukers are going to be Isis, Milim, and Shinsha being our single target DPSs. We've got Veldora for the 70% magic buff. We've got Dark Milim, Dark Milim for the alt buff and her DPS. Shinsha for her dark damage, and then again Dark Valentine for her stacking damage. And because we have Veldora resetting costs, it will actually be easier to get stacks of Valentine, because, 25, 45, 65 can get kind of expensive. So, but Cabby is also not buffing the orbs by 150%. So we brought Isis for her green buff. So let's go ahead and start this up. We're also going to zoom through this a little bit. Alright. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. These clips are quite long, so I don't want to make you sit here forever, and I run out of things to say. Okay, so turn 1, Sufia's orb change. Cool. We're going to leave Dark Valentine in again to make sure we can get the most out of her trait, even though we're guaranteed to get Protection Gauge turn 1, or turn 2. So, again, full send on Hawkero, make sure he's dead, and just do as much damage as possible. We don't have Space Milim here, though, so we don't have, like, a super primary type advantage to DPS where we can guarantee the kill on somebody. So, what we have to do here is we have to use all of the orb changes. We don't have enough points to use all the orb changes plus the green buff, but we're going to use this. We're going to use Veldora here to reset the cost for Sufia to put her back down to 25, and then we can use that, and then we can bring in Isis to do the blue orb change, and then she'll have at least a orb. Because remember, I want alts for these 3 units right here, because I want to send, ideally, in a perfect world, I want to get Hawkero low enough where I can send Shinsha and Isis on him, and then I can send Dark Milim on Gobta and maybe kill both of them at the same time. So that's the plan in my head. However, it doesn't quite work out that way, which is really unfortunate. So, we're going to use the point buff from Isis. We're not critting here, so the most of that effect of the skill is kind of useless, but it does help us get more points from any orb, which will help us towards the end. And I didn't realize that I cut here. Okay, well, that's cool. So I think we're just going to go back. We're going to skip ahead. Alright, back on turn 2. God, I need to screen these first, don't I? See, this is what happens when I don't have a script, and I just kind of throw the video up and be like, hey, gameplay, and then I don't realize that it's an extra 5 minutes long because there's an extra 5 minutes of useless footage in here. See, at least you know I'm being real and honest with you guys, right? I record these off the seat of my pants. And if they turn out good, then great. And if they turn out like terrible ass, well then, looks like everyone's gonna laugh at me. But this is the internet, and if you don't want people to laugh at you, you don't put yourself on it. So, turn 3, there we go. So now we have enough points to use the green buff that's already active on turn 2, because we didn't have to use all 3 orb changes. We only had to use 2. So that helped out a lot. So we've sent 2 turns of combo damage on Hawkero, and now we're going to start focusing on Gobta at this point instead to get him lower, because I still want to do that plan of sending Isis and Shinsha on Hawkero and then Milim on Gobta. So if we lower him, I'm pretty sure we can kill Hawkero with double ult, with the full buffs. Milim trying to one-shot Gobta is a little bit more of an ask, so I don't know if that's going to work. So here, we're going to go ahead and send the ult on Hawkero, unbuffed except for the magic from Veldora. So it'll do a little bit of damage, but this is just to get it out of my hand, really. But it's unfortunate that it does not get me another Veldora gauge, because, I'd have 2 ults. I had 3 ults. I'd have, Sufia, Milim, and Shinsha. So I could nuke here, but I don't have Veldora, which is a massive part of our damage. So, and we're gonna get binded, right? We can't kill Hawkero this turn, and I don't want to use all of my ults right now. So what I do is, I'm pretty sure I just bring everyone in and just kind of leave them for a turn. I think that's what I do. Yeah. So you're all going to come in, and then, because obviously we got screwed by orbs, we have 5 Valentine orbs, so no one had an ult anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to get binded, but that gets us enough gauge to get Veldora. So now, unfortunately, we don't have the single target ult with Isis, so it almost worked out. But we have enough points to use everything, plus another stack of Valentine after we do the reset with Veldora. So we'll use the dark buff, we'll use the alt buff, and then we'll use Veldora. That should be done now. Like, this should be at, now that we've used the orb change, it should be at 75%, or 70%, sorry. So that's max damage right there, and now we can use the final stack of Valentine whenever I get to it. If I do it. Do I do it? Do I miss it? Or are we done? We might have stacked already. Okay, well, the AoE hits 137 on Hakuro, 93.8 on Gopta, and does not kill him, which is kind of unfortunate. But we've still managed to kill Hakuro. And now we've left Gopta in a very, very low HP scenario. But we don't do any more damage with our normals, so we need ults. And everyone is looking... It's getting kind of low, because we don't have that extra protection from having type advantage. So we're doing 1 damage to Gopta. Great, what do you know? We have to take these 2 ults. Hopefully they don't kill. Rigard has a follow-up. Gopta has a double follow-up. And then he seals our attack for 2 turns. 1 turn. So, here, like, we're not looking that great. We have an ult with Sufia, though. And she is type advantage. And she has a lot of HP. So, we're no longer binded, which is great. We're just attack sealed. So we're going to swap you guys out because you have the lowest amount of HP. And we had to choose. Like, if someone's going to die, like, I kind of need Milim. I don't really need Shinsha, so she was last resort, I guess. So, Sufia, we're going to pray that this entire hand can kill. And thankfully, Sufia's ult with the Veldora buff does actually kill Gopta. So now we're down to just Rigard again. And, you know, we're looking okay. We've got an ult for Sufia, we've got an... Or not Sufia, we've got an ult for Isis, we've got an ult for Shinsha, and now we're going to try and get an ult for Milim, which these 3 blues will do. And we have enough points now to use all the buffs again, plus another stack of Veldora. So... We've got the dark buff, we've got the alt buff, we're going to have another 70% for Veldora, and then we are done. So turn 10, so we didn't hit the turn 9, but that's fine. We hit the turn 12, nobody is dead, and my Shinsha's level 80, right? Like, she has Awakened Gear, yeah, but she's still level 80. It's not like she's a super wailed out. Dark Milim is wailed out. Sufia is a free-to-play unit. Isis is a free-to-play unit. Valentine is technically a free-to-play unit. Technically. And then the supports on the bottom are obviously not. They're not free to play. And my Space Veldora down here is only 84. So this is another team that has the chance of beating EX3, depending on how lucky you are and if you can run this team. As far as substitutions on this team go, there's not really a lot. Like, I guess you could, instead of Dark Valentine, you could bring Fire Milim, and then you could get crits. And then the effects from Shinsha's second skill would actually be much more impressive. That is an option that will probably offset your 60% ult damage that you're not going to get. You can't bring the hero, though. She's physical, so you're missing out on that like 50% resistance to magic that they have. Her crit lowers it by 30%, which means they still have 20% crit resistance, which means you're not doing maximum damage. The rewind could be useful, or you could just bring another orb changer. I mean, that you could do that too. But those are 2 more teams that can clear EX3 Tempered Edge just for the mission itself. Let me know in the comments if there are any other teams that I have not already shown between this and the EX5 video that have beaten it, so we can show off a little bit other team concepts. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.